what construction contracts do you think are the best for clarity about scope, about price, and about time? Well, let's start with my book, shall we? Collateral Warranties. Well, collateral warranties are a parasitical contract. They depend on the underlying appointment, subcontract, or contract for their clarity about what the warrantor is going to do. So we can't really say whether they're any good until we've looked at the contract that might underpin them. So we'll have to put that to one side. So the next one, which actually has quite a lot of clarity, is small works contracts. Now, these are construction contracts for smaller projects. Now, we tend to be pretty good in writing small works contracts. The contractor or builder or trades, whatever they've called themselves, are good at writing the scope. We will have a specification, drawings, quotes, estimates. We almost always have an overall price plus a schedule of payments because we need that for the construction acts. We'll almost always have a works period or completion date, and we may have interim stages going through that. So we're pretty good in small works contracts at providing certainty on these three things. How about consultant appointments? Well, we tend to have a schedule of services, tick, and we have a schedule of fees and instalments, tick. But when it comes to when the consultant is going to provide those services, we might not even find a start date in the appointment, and we very rarely find any sort of end date, and we don't have liquidated damages or delay damages if they're late in completing the services. It's pretty much a, you will do these services and it takes as long as it takes. So we don't have that sort of clarity about the time period that the consultant is going to be involved. Now, that tends to cause problems because consultants have priced for an assumed project program. And if that doubles because of, say, a pandemic or lockdowns or restrictions on trade or travel, then actually that can increase their fee because they're going to have to keep going back to site. So there are all sorts of ways that the consultant fees actually do relate to and depend on the time period for the provision of those services. And yet most consultant appointments say nothing about time. And the worst contract, well, it's pretty much the letter of intent. I've reviewed hundreds of letters of intent. And a few years ago, I did a series of workshops around consultants, contractors, subcontractors about letters of intent to try and encourage them to think about them differently. And I asked them to send me their standard letters of intent so I could have a bit of a nosy and also so I could teach them something about their own documents. And generally speaking, they were really poor when it came to scope. They said works of mobilisation or any works necessary to keep us to the project programme. That's basically everything. So the scope of works was really nebulous. It was unclear. You wouldn't know when they'd finished what you'd asked them to do. When it comes to price, well, most letters of intent say something along the lines of, if we fail to sign the contract, we'll pay you a reasonable sum. Reasonable? Whose idea of reasonable? The payer's idea or the payee's idea? They don't meet in the middle. And when it came to time, it might talk about the project programme for the whole works, but it very rarely set an end date for the works under the letter of intent. Well, if the whole purpose of a letter of intent is to keep you to the project programme and to make sure that the works start early and stay on track, surely some form of completion date would be sensible just to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing. So when it comes to contracts, even the contracts that loads of people write all the time, they don't have the certainty we need to create clear and unambiguous communication about the scope, about the price, and about the time. Surely the least we can do is get those things right. So which contracts are your contracts more like? Are they like the collateral warranty, require too much other information to tell? The letter of intent, bit ambiguous, hedging your bets a bit? Are they like the consultant appointments, good in parts, but still got work to do? Or are they like small works contracts, crisp and clear on the three important things I've talked about in this video? Check your contracts are clear on these aspects as a bare minimum in order to make sure that you've got clarity and certainty between you and your project partners. It's the least your contracts should be doing for you.